Am I confident in Bitcoin's price getting over the $100,000 mark during 2024? Well, when predicting potential market performance, one of the most accurate means at our disposal is, of course, looking at cycles past. However, as we look back to even 4 years ago and compare 2021 to 2024, there are some key differences we need to be aware of. In 2021, we had some major macro momentum with low rates, lower inflation, and of course, that money printer was on in force. Now, this time around, we have, if anything, some major macro resistance with high rates, with higher inflation, and unfortunately, a scared and hesitant Fed at the helm. This year, we also have more FUD than in 2021. Maybe that's because of all the craziness with the SEC, more people being made aware of crypto. And we also know that FUD is a component of every single cycle so far. But this year, in my opinion, it does seem to have been taken to higher levels. And in a sector that is largely governed by narrative and sentiment, this could indeed be a weight that is tied around the neck of price performance as we go forward. So, with all this in mind, does this mean that we should be expecting much lower market performance than last time around? Well, not so fast. Let's not forget about the 10,000-ton gorilla that is beating its chest into the winds of the bull market. Bitcoin ETFs, in my opinion, are the biggest driver of upward price performance we have ever seen by a long shot. We know that already they have proven to be the most successful ETF launch in the history of trading. Now, if we look back even 5 minutes ago when they launched, we can see that there was a lot of buying and a lot of selling. However, all that selling seems to have been, when we take a closer look, from grayscale products due to lots of folks who were trapped and couldn't sell due to ongoing court battles that were in play. But as soon as that was converted into an ETF, they could sell and did in masses. Now that the majority of those folks have sold, this is one of the major reasons we are starting to see prices climbing hard again. Sellers are drying up and many more are getting into Bitcoin ETFs, allowing us to start to see that price appreciation we normally would or would come to expect with more revenue entering a specific sector. And I think, in my opinion, there are a lot more TradFi funds, banks, companies, money houses out there that are still yet to even get involved in these ETFs. And as they start seeing a lot of the success metrics that are coming to play, we're going to see an influx of all of this money hit just before that bull market summer comes around. It'll be no surprise to many that it looks like BlackRock have been absolutely dominating the inflow of money into Bitcoin ETFs so far, with even a lot of retirement accounts taking positions. Maybe it's because they're first to market, but again, we're going to see a lot of folks taking stock of what's happening there and following suit, of course. So, where are we right now in the present cycle? Well, according to folks like Plan B, we are still very, very much in the accumulation stage. So, without sounding cliched and repeating myself too much, this is the warm up. It hasn't even started yet. The fun and euphoria is still to come. I keep saying this, and still, we're seeing people selling out of positions prematurely due to impatience. There is no point in being early if you aren't patient enough to capitalize on it. Now is the time to continue to buy your favorite coins. We aren't at the part where we start to take profits yet. You'd be leaving a lot of money on the table. And if this cycle is anything like I imagine, that's potentially a lot of money. Comparing this year to the last halving year in 2020, this Q1 has already started ridiculously stronger, with BTC returns being 14% up this year compared to minus 11 in 2020. Now, if history repeats itself, which it often does, Q2 is set to be extremely strong, with 2020 seeing over 42% returns. So you can only imagine what Q2 of this year is going to be. But you know what? You know what's typically the most exciting quarter of a halving year? Q4, with 2020 that showed over 168%. This should be the time, the beautiful time for those of us who have been patient enough by then to truly go all Scrooge McDuck and hoard our valuable treasures like misers as we marvel at just how much our bags have grown. For those who haven't bothered to learn how cycles work by then, it's going to be a time where you're crying into your pillows as you see what your portfolios would have done had you not panic sold at terrible times. But typically, that's not even the end. Q1 of the following year, so in 2025, usually amounts to some mega returns and is usually a fantastic time for altcoins, with 2021 seeing over 103%. So we are looking at the opposite end of this year that we're currently in and beyond. We're still very early, folks. Lastly, as we look over some of the regression charts, to summarize, we can see that the central bands show a range of between $86,000 and $113,000 for Bitcoin price by the end of 2024. So, with all this said, what is my own prediction for 2024-25 prices? Well, we do have some less than ideal price pumping macro facilitators right now, like those high rates and high inflation. However, if inflation moves in the right direction, which is, of course, down, and the supply of huge new demand for ETFs, coupled with the beautiful supply shock from the halving, I truly think we can blow past last cycle's numbers fairly easily and blow them out of the water. Conservatively looking, in my opinion, at a 150K Bitcoin price, likely more. We haven't seen such an inflow of TradFi revenue like we are now going into this new market. And as I've said before, those funds coming in initially to the blue chip crypto will matriculate through the system and pump the altcoin market to astronomical levels. So, what do we watch out for now? Well, inflation, of course, needs to move in crypto's favor. Next stop, according to the Fed, when they start to act, should be at around 2%, which will be great for risk on assets like crypto. Interest rates are high right now, so the economy's brakes are essentially on. As soon as those rates come down, we could be looking for some great crypto momentum, even if it perhaps does have a negative impact on some of the other markets that we've talked about, namely real estate or commercial real estate. Get ready for some exciting times ahead for crypto and don't miss out due to being impatient or lack of knowledge. Please do like, subscribe, stay in the loop as we go forward. Also, feel free to join our private group to focus on building your portfolio over this accumulation stage in particular for the most returns and learn about other aspects of wealth building, including getting set up with offshore banking and ultimately protecting the wealth that you're building right now. Until then, I'll catch you guys on the next one.